Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and if you're new here, hi, welcome. My name is Princia and I talk about all things narrative fiction. So today I have a very fun video planned. I had another video that I wanted to do, but I still have like extensive research to do for it. So instead, it was going to be a One Piece themed video. So I was like, let me just do something else that's again like One Piece themed, but like more fun, more easygoing without like much preparation needed for it. So I decided to do a One Piece tier ranking video where I get to gush and like review, give you guys like mini reviews, like my thoughts, not reviews essentially, but like my thoughts on all One Piece manga arcs up until Wano. So it's going to be spoiler filled. Like cause I talk about like my favorite scenes in some of these like manga arcs. So if you're not like caught up with One Piece up until Wano, or you just want to read One Piece but you don't, like you've not started One Piece, this I wouldn't advise to watch this because it's like very spoiler filled. I go in like details about like what I liked. I talk about characters as if I expect everybody to know about it. So it's not like a spoiler-free review is what I'm trying. This is not a spoiler-free video is what I'm trying to say. It's very spoiler-heavy. So watch it with caution if you've not read One Piece. But if you have read One Piece or watched One Piece, please feel free to keep watching. Alright guys, so today I'm going to be tier ranking like all One Piece manga arcs, and I'm saying manga only because I didn't watch the One Piece anime. So I didn't watch like any of the filler arcs. I didn't watch the G8 arc. I really want to though. And I didn't watch like any of the extras or any scenes from the anime apart from like the usual clips I see on my TikTok or my Instagram reels, like the really funny ones, or the ones I really have to see, like the drums of liberation. So yeah, we're going to be doing only manga arcs. And let me explain to you guys like the way I'm going to be tier ranking them. So we have masterpiece, self-explanatory. It's just like a masterpiece, like nothing I would change. Absolutely love this, adore this. S tier. And then we have excellent. Not quite a masterpiece, but it's excellent. It's excellently written. I love the emotions. It was just excellent. And we have pretty good. Pretty good is just, it's pretty good to my standards, right? Because I'll have some arcs here. I'm thinking of one where it was just like pretty good to me. Like I actually really like this. So pretty good is like I really like this. It's not excellent, but I really liked it, me personally. And then we have nice. It's just it's okay. It's nice. You're not bad. You're not the best. You're nice. You're nice to read. And then we have meh. Again, self-explanatory. It's just like indifference. I'm just like it's okay. Like you're okay. You're fine. And then we have subper, which is to Oda standards. Because again, I don't think Oda like has. I don't think Oda has ever written like any arc where I'm just like this is actually like the worst thing I've ever read. Like this is bad, just like plain bad. I don't think I would have anything for that. So it's just like subpar to my standards of Oda's writing. Because I love Oda's writing. He's never disappointed me with the way he writes stuff, certain things. But like with the way he writes like everything. So I was like subpar to Oda's standards. Again, which I don't think I'll actually have anything here. But we'll see, because I didn't plan this out. I don't know how this is gonna go. So it's organized from beginning to end. I found this like you can find this linked down below. I'll have it linked in my description so you guys can play along. So you can give me like your S tiers and you can do your own tier ranking. I'll have it linked down in my description down below. So without further ado, let's get into it. So, Roma Stone. Where does it go? I think I have to put Roma Stone in pretty good. It was a pretty good start to One Piece, a great introduction to Luffy, a great introduction to the world that's already Shanks. This is like where we get to know the world. This is our introduction to the One Piece world. I think it was a pretty solid introduction. I remember like the first time I read it, I was like pretty hooked. So it was pretty good. I put it in pretty good. And then Orange Town. I really like the feeling of Orange Town. I remember like the first time I watched it, Buggy was like the biggest threat. He was the first, but to me, he was like, oh my god. And it was really funny. Was it? Was it funny? No, but it was like emotionally packed. I remember Buggy was like really entertaining, and I love the feel of it. It was giving like that Western Texas. I don't know. They weren't in the desert. There was no cowboys or cowgirls, but like that's the feeling. Like deserted city. We were meeting like the One Piece villains again. We're just like establishing the story. I liked it. It was okay. It was not the greatest thing ever, but that's why we meet Zoro. That's what we meet Buggy. Buggy. My God, I love Buggy. It was a, I think I'll say pretty good. Either pretty good or nice. I'll go to nice because like apart from like the part with the dog and while we finally like see Zoro like being lawyer and stuff, it doesn't really have like that many impactful scenes. So I put it in nice. Like it was pretty. I keep saying pretty good, but I'm putting it in nice. This is quite hard. You have many to get through. It should not be this hard. I'll leave it in nice. I'll leave it in nice. It was nice. It was okay. It was good, right? Okay. And then we have Syrup Village. Guys, I really like Syrup Village. I don't know what it was, but the very first time like I read through One Piece, Syrup Village made me cry so much. Like I just connected with Usopp so much. I loved his story. I loved his royalty. I love his royalty to his village. The way he was like willing to still look like the bad guy, but then them like staying safe. I really liked it. I loved it. The villain was. I've seen many people complain about the villain, the Syrup Village, and it is true. He was quite stupid, but I really liked Syrup Village, and I loved the way Luffy invited Usopp to his crew. I loved it. I loved it. It was pretty good. It was really, really good. I liked it. Bahatier, excellent. Excellent. That's where we meet Sanji. That's where Zoro has his fight with Mihawk. That's where, what else happens? That's where we get like the first actual lore drop on the Grand Line. That's where we get introduced to it being like the graveyard of pirates. That's where we meet pirates who've actually survived the Grand Line and then they're back and then disheveled, they're hungry, they're starving, and then we meet Sanji feeding them. I love Baratier so much. I loved Sanji's backstory. I loved Zoro's fight with Mihawk, where he realized that he's not as strong as he thinks he is. I just remember loving Baratier so much. It was excellent. It was really, really good. Along Pack, masterpiece. Masterpiece. I feel like Arlong Park was like the first ever. Okay, maybe I'm being too ambitious with putting it in masterpiece. Am I being too nice? Was it excellent? No, it was a masterpiece. It was a masterpiece. I feel like there is a reason why people say like read the first 10 volumes. I think the first one, two, three, four, five arcs, maybe it's 10, 11 volumes. But anyway, I remember like the first ever like 12 volumes like end on Arlong Park. And it makes sense why people tell you like first reach Arlong Park before you really know if you want to continue on or leave it. But and it's because of Arlong Park. That's what I'm getting at. It's because of Arlong Park. Arlong Park is excellent. It is excellent. Nami's backstory, Nami's relationship with the mom, with the adoptive mom, with her sister, with Arlong. Yes, with Arlong, the villain. I feel like Arlong was like the biggest threat in the Big Blue. He was like more powerful than anyone we've met to that point. And Arlong Park was just excellent. That's where we first see the crew actually come together. That's where we see the people that Luffy has been collecting come together. That's where we get to see the dynamic between Sanji and Zoro finally like come to life. That's where we get to see Usopp. That's when we get to see Usopp actually now start conquering his fears, start working towards his goals. That's where we start to see what Luffy stands for. Luffy as a main character. That's where we see him get fleshed out. This is where we start seeing Oda's intentions with the story as One Piece continues. I feel like Arlong Park was just beautifully, beautifully executed. It was just amazing. It was hooking. The fights were great. The fights were just excellent. The emotions, Nami, again, Nami's backstory, that scene where she's crying and Luffy puts her heart on her. Guys, it's just, I just loved Arnold Park. It was a masterpiece. And then we have Rocktown. I'd have to put this in meh because I don't remember much about it apart from the scene where Luffy's like laughing when he's going to get executed, like where Luffy's laughing in the same place as Roger was. So yeah, I'll put it in meh. It was okay. We made the biggest like one of like the most impactful characters to the story in Rocktown. That's where we meet Dragon, Smoker. That's where we meet all of them. But it was just okay. Like I don't. It's not that memorable. Like there's like not that much lore being dropped. The themes being explored are just okay. It's meh. It's meh. It was okay. Like it was a great transition point from like a very emotional arc like Arlong Park to Rocktown. Rocktown was just meh to me. And then we have Reverse Mountain. Reverse Mountain. I think I'll also put that in meh. No, that's where we meet Laboon. That's where we meet Laboon. That's where one of my favorite scenes happen, where they're all like getting. I think they step into the Grand Line. No, they're going to the Grand Line, and then they get this barrel, and they all like say their dreams like one by one, like the East Blue Five. I love that scene so much, and that's where we meet Laboon. That's where we get his backstory connection that we don't make the connection yet, but that's where we build the foundation for Laboon. That's where again we see Luffy like really like shine when he doesn't want Laboon to keep wasting his time, or like to keep hurting himself rather, and then he draws like his Jolly Roger on his forehead just so he has a new opponent, and that's why we get to really. I think this is why I started falling in love with Luffy as a character. It was really in no, it was more in Ireland Park, but so much more even in Rivers Mountain. It's a pretty important arc, but it was again just I didn't feel much about it. It had some really great scenes, but it's just like again, it didn't stand out to me. Certain scenes from it stood out to me, but it itself like as a whole arc, no. But that's also why we made Miss Wednesday. Pretty okay introduction to her character, but again, I'll just have to put it in May. It was just okay. And then we have Whiskey Peck. I really like to speak. Wait, I really like Whiskey Peck. It was really good. It was really good. Was it? It was really good. Apart from like, no, the first time I watched it, it was really funny. Like that scene where Luffy and Zoro fight, but it's also kind of out of character for Luffy, where it's like I'm going to kill you, just like without even asking Zoro why did you do this first? But it was like really funny like the very first time. Whiskey Peck. I'll put it in pretty good. It was pretty good. Actually, I feel like I'm remembering it, or like rather like think of it as much smaller than it actually was, because like it was pretty long. That's where we meet Miss Wednesday, Vivi, and then we meet Robin for the very first time in Whiskey Peck, Miss All Sunday, and then we head on to Little Garden. So it was like pretty long. It was from Zoro fighting 100 people by himself. Again, amazing scene. Um, we also see like very funny crew moments. Luffy just dragging everybody out. That's when we meet Crocodile. That's when we get introduced to his character, the lore again, and then we get introduced to Alabasta. And we really get a mission. I really liked Whiskey Peck actually. Yeah, it was pretty good. I'll put Whiskey Peck in pretty good. It was really, really entertaining. Little Garden, excellent, pretty good. Excellent, pretty good. They should not be this hard. Little Garden. I loved it. I really, 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 really liked Little Garden. Because at that point, almost like as you see, like almost all the arcs that we had so far, like the concept of where we were going, like the island we were on, was pretty like it was rooted in reality to some extent. Like it was not as fantastical as like we later went on to be like Skypia or Fishman Island. But it was like our own park, we were on an island, it was just like a normal island, it was kind of giving an aquatic park, but it was like a pretty standard island. Little Garden was the first island we really visited in the Grand Line. Like after we entered the Grand Line, the first place we visited was the Little Garden. And I really feel like that was such a great introduction to the wonders of the Grand Line. It was mystical. It was beautiful. I love stories set in the jungle. I love them so much. Jumanji was like my favorite movie. Like back when I was like a child, I loved Jumanji so much just because of like the jungle setting. I really love it, and it was prehistoric. Like Little Garden, there were dinosaurs, there were giants. I loved the feel of Little Garden, and then I loved Sanchi in Little Garden, and then I loved Zoro, Nami, and Vivi's whole Mr. Three, I'm going to kill you thing, and then Zoro's like, you should have posed. It was just hilarious. Little Garden was hilarious. It was fun. The setting was beautiful. The lore, we get to meet the giants. Now that where the manga is currently, and we're coming back to Little Garden, like now that I think about Little Garden, it feels kind of like nostalgic. It's really beautiful. I love Little Garden so much. It was really good. I think it was even excellent. I loved it. I loved the villains. I loved how mythical it felt. I loved how fantastical it felt. I absolutely loved it. That's when Little Garden for me. That's when One Piece started to read like a fantasy story. I mean, we had like the main character is like guy who stretches, but with the world, with the islands we've seen this far, okay, we were inside a freaking whale, but again, with the islands we've been visiting this far, Little Garden was the most like fantasy element. Like, and I love stories set in the jungle. I love it so much. I think it was excellent. I really think Little Garden was excellent. And then Drum Island. Mm, Drum Island is pretty good. It's pretty good. I can't put it in nice. Like that's rude. Putting Drum Island in nice is just rude because it was really good. It was really good. That's where we met Chopper. That's where uh, That's why like one of my favorite things again happens when Vivi forces Luffy to kneel down and apologize to the people instead of like straight on going in for a fight, and allows him like teaches him humility and to just humble yourself and not hone in the point where Shanks was like teaching him like the very first arc. Like just because someone is like antagonizing you, just because you feel an itch to fight, doesn't mean you immediately just go into fight. Stop, think about what you're doing, and then come back to it later. And Drum Island was just beautiful. Chopper's backstory was like really nice. Really loved Drum Island. Drum Island was like pretty good. It was pretty good. And then we stopped in Drum Island, and then immediately went to Alabasta. Excellent. Alabasta was excellent. Alabasta was just excellent to me. The themes that were like being portrayed back in Arlong Park of oppression, resistance, and all that stuff. I feel like in Alabasta, it was even brought up more and better. So should it be in masterpiece or excellent? Yeah, I feel like Alabasta will go in excellent. I'll put Alabasta in excellent. It was really good. Alabasta for me will go in excellent. It was amazing. It was amazing. But again, one of the most disappointing moments for me happens in Alabasta. Yeah, it happens in Alabasta where like the very first fake out death, and I just hate the fake out deaths in One Piece. But I'll come back to that later when I'm talking about Skypiea. Again, I watched the manga, so I really watched the manga. I read the manga, so I really don't know like how things are pronounced like all too well. I want to get it from like the people who watch like making their own videos on like certain One Piece arcs. So that's where I get the pronunciation from. I don't know how, if it's Skypiea or Skypiea. I have no clue, so please bear with me. But anyway, so I'll put Alabasta in excellent. Next is Jaya. It was okay. It was nice. Jaya was nice. Okay, but it doesn't feel fair to put Jaya in nice when I put Reverse Mountain in meh. No, but Jaya was nice. I feel like I enjoyed Jaya more than I did Reverse Mountain because again, Jaya was kind of set in like the jungle for like 5 seconds when we're looking for that like northern facing bird. I loved meeting Diamond Head guy. I loved Luffy meeting him, and then again, wait, wasn't Jaya where we met? Where was it? I feel like I skipped it. Rocktown. Is that where we met Blackbeard for the very first time? Or was it in Jaya? I think it was Jaya. It's in Jaya. If that's where, then I'll put it in pretty good. Because I loved that scene with Blackbeard where he was like talking about dreams and man, like mankind dreams, and that's where we meet that guy, the hyena laughing guy. But that's where we meet like all the pirates. We get introduced to most of the new generation, but we don't know that yet. That's the very first time we see Luffy's dream being laughed at, and then Blackbeard is the one to come out and then speak to him about his dreams. And then right afterwards, we meet Diamond Head guy who has a dream, who has something he wants to achieve, but he can't, and then Luffy helps him. And that's how we get to Skypiea. I really like Jaya. But yeah, Jaya goes in pretty good. Skypiea, I'll put it in Skypiea excellent, pretty good. I loved it. I love Skypiea. I loved it. It'll go in excellent. Because again, the setting of Skypiea was just, it was so beautiful. It was beautiful. I was reading the like original manga in black and white, and then I'd go to the colored manga and just like look through, just scroll through to see like the scenery and like it fully colored and see how it looked like. And Skypiea was beautiful. It was beautiful. We were in the sky. We were in a sky island. Again, it added to just like that feel we had of the Grand Line. Like whenever we talk about the Grand Line in the East Blue, I would get so excited. I was like, I can't wait to go on the Grand Line and see all this like fantastical stuff that we've been talking about, like all these like things you can't wrap your mind around for so long. And when we get to Skype, when we got to Little Garden, I was like, I am seeing it. And then we got to Skype here, I was like, wow, stunning. Stunning. I love Skypiea. And one more thing I loved about Skypiea, it was hilarious. I feel like Skypiea is like one of the funniest, if not the funniest, One Piece arc. The gags were amazing. I feel like I love Oda's humor, but I love him more when he's not relying on boobs to make people laugh. And I feel like in Skypiea, there were so many jokes, just like There's like funny jokes that again not based on boobs, and I loved that so much. It was so funny. It was hilarious, and then it happened with Usopp and Luffy, and then they get beaten up by Sanji. Hilarious. Skypiea just made me laugh out loud so many times. Skypiea was really why I appreciated Oda's humor. It was such a funny, amazing arc. Who except that damn ass villain Enelu. Was that his name? Enelu? The earlobes guy. Did not like that man. Did not like him. And I was so mad at Oda. Because like this man was supposed to be like the most powerful man, like yet he was a god. He was a god. He lived in the skies. He could control like the weather. He could read minds. We were struggling, and then he was so cold. You would say one thing wrong about him, this man would blast you with 200 million volts and then kill you. Or that's what I thought. That's what I was led to believe, that he would actually kill you. Except he didn't. He had a countdown. He was like, guys, like, bet, telling like his servants, he was like, bet how many people are going to be alive by the end of this. 5. He betted 5, either 5 or 6, I don't remember. But he was like 5. This man was just axing everybody. He was killing everybody left and right. He would go have fun. 300 million volts for you. 500 million volts for you. You're pissing me extra off. 100 million volts. I was like, damn. Until everybody came back alive. Everybody was fine. Every single person was fine. This is like the very first time that I was actually pissed off reading One Piece, because I was like, I expected just like, I don't know, I just hated fake out deaths, because I was like, this one excellent death scene with just like grandpa and his whatever sacrificed himself for his granddaughter, for her to have like a good future and stuff, and he sacrificed himself and he died. Except no, he didn't. No, he didn't. There's some people where it makes sense why they would survive, like Luffy or some other people, like he missed them or something. He full on hit this guy with some 100 million something volts. He was fine. Every single person was fine. I was so mad. I was like, then why are you scared of him? Go take 200 million volts and then come back. Like, go attack him and take volts, 2 billion something volts, and you just come back up. Just wait 2 months and then try again until it's mad and he's annoyed. It just didn't make any sense. I just hated the fake out deaths in Skypiea. It's my second least favorite thing when it comes to One Piece. I hate the fake out deaths. I hate it so much. And Skypiea was just like filled with it. I was just almost cheapened the story, but I love the humor. I love the characters. I loved how it was actually like the very first time they were acting like pirates, like actually looking for gold and was stealing it. So it was hilarious. It was really good. I love the setting. I just hated that aspect of the fake out deaths. Anyway, too much on Skype here. Let's move on. I still have quite a lot to do, and I feel like I've been talking for a long time already. Now we have long ring, long land. Hey, I'm just going to be saying Ringland. Yeah, that's easier. Ringland. So I'll put this in pretty good. Yes, again, when I'm talking about like Oda's humor, when it's not rooted in boobs, it's so funny. It's so good. I loved Long Ring Island because it was so funny, guys. It was so funny. I know many people will disagree with me on this because I've seen it as like one of the most hated arcs. Many people apparently skipped it. I don't understand why. I kind of do, but I don't understand why. It was just hilarious to me from the very first time when we get to the island, and like the structure of the island is so interesting, like how the tide like lowers every 3 years, every 10 years. I don't know, every few years, and then that's how you travel to the next island, and then it rises again, and then you stay in that particular island until the tide lowers again, and then that's how you move around. I found that so interesting. I found the world building in Long Ring Island very, very interesting. I really loved it. I haven't talked about Robin at all, and we meet her in Alabasta. I loved Robin's dynamics with the crew in Skypiea. Loved seeing that. Loved seeing her in the crew in Jaya and Skypiea. And then Long Ringland, that's where we again get like more of her lore with the world. That's where we meet Akoji, and then we see how much the crew now is like willing to do for her. Like now they're just like ride or dies, and it was so beautiful. And then we meet Foxy. Guys, I love the Foxy games. I love them so much. Like that whole like gag with Luffy and him like fighting and he puts on the afro. It was hilarious. So it was just like one line Sanji says.
Sir, go on a quick feint with your left, then slap that chin with a golden uppercut. Yeah! So funky. I can feel that jive lighting a fire in my soul.
And I loved it so much, guys. I loved that whole gag. It was hilarious. It was so, I don't know. I loved it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this arc so much. And I've seen people hate on it, saying it reads like a filler arc. I get it. I didn't read it like that. It was just funny. It was like a very welcome, like, interlude. It kind of felt like an interlude. It was goofy, and I love when Oda leans into the goofy side of One Piece. It was just beautiful to me. I really liked it. Really, really liked it. It was pretty good. It was a pretty good arc. And then we have Water 7. Yeah, I'm putting Water 7 in Masterpiece. Water 7 made me feel so many things, guys. One was admiration. What a beautiful setting. What a beautiful setting. Like the very first time we get into Water 7, excellent. Luffy and Usopp, the betrayal. Guys, I've never gasped so hard. I loved these characters so damn much. I loved them. I was like, I want each and every one of them to join our crew. I don't care. Every single one of them is coming. They did us so dirty. Guys, it felt like I was on that island with them, with the iceberg guy. I was with him. I felt the pain with him. I was like, damn, how dare you do this to us? Water 7 was beautiful. It was beautiful from beginning to end. Excellent. There's like a few things you can nitpick again, like Luffy just getting stuck in a chimney just because Oda wanted him out of the story for a sec. No, that was Zoro, and then Luffy was stuck in between walls. Why? Whatever, man. It's okay. And then Sanji was on the train. Bingo. Absolute cinema. Absolute cinema. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Water 7 was a masterpiece. Nothing I would change. I didn't have any slobby. Masterpiece. Masterpiece. Unquestionable. It was just everything. Like it was just everything, guys, from the train ride to actually getting to the damn prison where they were just going to drag her to the gates of justice. It was everything. And that's why we make my goat, King. Love him. Honestly, like any story was just everything and more. It was so good. It was so good. I feel like Water 7 is where Oda really starts to show off. He starts to show off in Water 7 and he didn't let it go. Like he was on a roll from Water 7 and he didn't stop. And the story was amazing. It was a masterpiece. Thriller Bark. Excellent. Again, this setting of a thriller bark was everything. It was so gothic, it was so scary, it was so spooky, it was so Halloween themed, and I read One Piece in November last year, and October 31st is Halloween. But for me, it's Halloween until mid-November. And reading Thriller back when I was still in like that, like feel of like I wanted more gothic stuff, I wanted to read more vampire stories, more ghost stories and stuff like that. Thriller book was just excellent. I love this setting. Again, the gags. It was hilarious. We meet one of my favorite characters in One Piece, Perona. Love her so much. Thriller book was just excellent to me. It was just so good. The scene where nothing happened in Thriller Bark. That's where we met Brooke. That's where we could make the connection to Reverse Mountain while we had met Laboon. Thriller Bark was excellent. So Bayodi, masterpiece. Masterpiece. From beginning to where we get to this like Stoppy Island, and it's funny, it's amazing. It felt like that one scene in Percy Jackson where they get into this hotel and it's like all the fun you can ever imagine. It's like a carnival, but like hiding something more sinister. We have like one of the saddest scenes in this arc in Sabayodia, whatever. That's why we have like one of the most like tragic ends to an arc. It was beautiful. Again, Oda started showing off in Water 7 and he didn't let go of like that drive he had because you see it shine through Sabayodi Archipelago. It was stunning. Like the themes in Sabayodi was excellent. I could do a deep dive on Sabayodi alone. I could do a deep dive on Enisobi and Water 7 alone. Like from Water 7 to Enisobi to Sabayodi Archipelago. It was beautiful. I loved it. So many excellent scenes happened in Sabayodi. It was just a masterpiece. There was nothing I would change about it. Nothing. And with Amazon Lily, it was nice. It was either nice or pretty good. I don't know which one. I'll say nice. I'll put it in nice. Mm, yeah, it was nice. I really liked seeing like the fallout from Sapayori on Luffy, and I didn't like how it was only concentrated on Luffy because I wanted to see like the consequences, like the rip-off, the aftermath on everybody, not just Luffy. I really wanted to, I really expected to see that, but I didn't get to, and that's made it kind of worse for me. But it was still nice. It was okay, right? It was fine. And then Impel Down. I think I'll put it at the start of like excellent. I'll put it here in excellent. Impel Down was amazing from beginning to end. From the reason why we were there to how Luffy got to Impel Down to Luffy's like adventures through each freaking stage of like the damn prison. How we met Buggy again. I love seeing Buggy again. To Mr. Three, Buggy and Mr. Three. Luffy's like shenanigans. It was Impel Down was amazing. Impel Down. I feel like I want to put in Masterpiece too. I don't know. I'll put in excellent at the beginning of like excellent. It was just it was masterfully done. Again with Impel Down, there's nothing I would change. There's nothing I really didn't like in Impel Down. I loved everything about that arc. It was excellent. And then Marineford, uh, there. Marineford, like everybody else, is my favorite arc in One Piece, and for very good reason. For very, 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 very good reason. The world building in One Piece is you can't fault it. There's nothing I would change about the world building in One Piece. It's excellent. One thing I admire about One Piece is the length. I love how long it actually is because like you've been meeting people, piecing together like pieces of lore, warlords, marines, the hierarchy of marines. You've been meeting the pirates, the hierarchy of pirates, the four emperors, and all that stuff. But it all came together in Marineford. It all came together for that one specific moment. It was like all building up for Marineford, and it was just masterfully written. It was excellent from beginning to middle to the end. It was excellent. It was a masterpiece. I feel like Marineford was a the peak of Oda's writing. It was a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. And I feel like everybody agrees. Like you can't fault Marineford for anything. I could talk about Marineford for ages, but I feel like I've already been going on for too long. I'm supposed to be giving guys like mini reviews for each of these, but I feel like I'm talking too much. So let's get on to it. Return to Sabayori. I don't remember much about this. It was like pretty short. That's why we get to meet the crew again after the time skip, and we get to see them all, the power ups. It was really great. It was amazing to see. But I didn't like the way Oda was like introducing the power ups. I did like it, but I didn't. No, what? It read like an info dump. Is what I'm trying to say. It read like an info dump for like a good second. But in Fishman Island, we kind of got to settle that down. But Return to Sabayori, I put it in nice. It was nice. It was great. It was a feel good arc, especially after the strong, I'll say strong emotions we felt in Marineford. Also, like fun fact, I read One Piece like 3 times. The very first time I read it, I stopped on Marineford. I stopped exactly like where the time skip, like whatever, stops. Like where we stop and then we're like, okay, we're going to come back after 2 years. I followed that. I don't know why, but it was like I was so sad. I was so heartbroken from reading Marineford that I needed a break. And then school caught up to me, so I took a break for almost 2 years, and then I came back to One Piece again. Restarted it because I had forgotten like quite a few important bits of One Piece. So I went back and then I read it again, and then I stopped. Was it Skypia or after Skypia? I don't know when, but I stopped around there, around 300 chapters, and then came back again and fully finished it to this point. Marineford killed me, guys. It killed me. So like this, like me reading One Piece back in November was like the very first time I actually read like after the time skip. Like before then, I'd read One Piece up until Marineford, and then now the New World was entirely new to me too. Like I had not read it ever or like seen any clips of it ever apart from Fishman Island, Fishman Island. I'll put you in nice. Yeah, I'll put it in nice. Fisherman Island to me is what Skypiea was to me because of like fake out deaths. And like remember what I said like about the very first thing I hated in like One Piece, like all those gags. Fisherman Island was up to 1,000, man. I was over it. But Sanji's my favorite. It goes Luffy, then Sanji, then Usopp as my favorite like straw hats. I just ignore like half the things that happen in Fishman Island. It's okay. It's okay. It was fine. Punk Hazard, meh. I put Punk Hazard in meh. It was good. It was nice. It was like nicely written. The setting was okay, but everything else was okay. It was okay. I don't remember much from Punk Hazard actually. Like I really don't remember much from Punk Hazard. Apart from like that's where the two Navy guys were fighting to see who would become leader of the Navy. Navy head, I forgot what they're called. The two admirals were fighting to become the admiral higher up. I forgot what he's called, but that. But that's why we made Kinemon. I actually liked Kinemon. And my mind is blank. We made kids, yeah, and Smoker. Smoker and Luffy have to work together. That was great. That was really nice. And that's about it. And we head on to Dressrosa. Because Punk Hazard was building up to Dressrosa. So it was fine. It was fine. I feel like pretty indifferent about it. It's not like my favorite thing ever. It's not horrible. I don't really think it was like one of Oda's like worst arcs. Maybe it was. No, it was meh. And then we have Dressrosa. Again, I'll put it here. Yeah, I'll put it here. I'll put it in excellent. It was excellent. From the themes of oppression and just being brought up through Dressrosa were excellent. And they were just excellently executed. I loved the execution of every single thing that Oda was trying to bring through Dressrosa. One of my favorite moments again happened in Dressrosa, which is like Luffy crying because he met Sabo again. It was, Dressrosa was brilliant. I didn't care for that whole gladiator fight thing, but it was fun. It was fun to read. Because I was like watching when I finished, like when I finally caught up to the New World, I could watch like One Piece content from different creators. And when I was watching people talk about Dressrosa, before I actually even watched Dressrosa, before I even got to the New World, people were like, man, Dressrosa was like so long. It didn't read like that to me. It all happened in the span of a day. Like the entirety of the events that occurred in Dressrosa happened in a day in the One Piece world. But for Oda, apparently he wrote it over 10 years. If I'm not mistaken, I really don't remember. But it was like written over a long span of time. So people were just like, every week, they were just repeating again Dressrosa. They were in Dressrosa for quite an extensive amount of time. Hey, guys, I've been speaking far too long. A quite extensive, long amount of time, right? But for me, I was binge reading it and Dressrosa was like finished. It was a full arc. I feel like I read Dressrosa in 2 to 3 days and it didn't feel that exhausting to me. This is why even now I am pausing until we have like one full volume of the One Piece, one full volume, and then I read the full like volume because I feel like One Piece, for you to really appreciate like One Piece, you need to read it as a whole, like as a body of work, like the volume. It can get pretty exhausting and like repetitive and whatever redundant when you keep reading the same thing over and over and over in the same world, in the same flashback for years. So it can get pretty exhausting. But for me, I really liked it. Rebecca's love story, love, what am I talking about? Rebecca's backstory wasn't that exhausting to me. It read fine. I was actually pretty invested in her backstory. It was really good for me. I really liked it. It was excellently done. And this Don Flamingo guy, excellent villain. Man, who doesn't love to hate this man? Who doesn't love to hate this man? Man, Oda can write villains. I hate this man. I hate him. I hate him and loved to hate him. But yeah, just was just excellent. It was really, really good. Zao. I don't know. Zao was pretty good. It was really, really good. Zao, oh my god, yes, Zao was really good because that's when it started to feel like One Piece was fully coming to an end. Like I don't know how to explain it, but in Zao, when we really start connecting like the pieces, like the lore of the world, and like this is why we're introduced to what the poneglyphs and how to get to Raftel. That's why we really start to get like the final, not final. There's still so much to learn and find out, but and so I would really start to get like critical information for the end, like the goal, our end goal, which is to get to the One Piece. Here we start to get the roadmap, we start to get what we need to, the things we need to get, the coordinates we need to get, how we are actually going to get to the One Piece. That's why it all started coming together. That's why it felt like we're finally having a payoff of all the things we've been learning to this point. And it was excellent to see. I loved it, and I loved meeting the one of my favorite scenes happened in Zao where I was just, guys, I was scrolling, like reading whatever, the manga, and I just like scrolled to the next panel. I have never audibly gasped that hard at something I was reading. That whole Rizzo is safe scene, that scene is top 5 One Piece panels of all time, in my opinion. In my own humble opinion, top 5 One Piece panel scenes. It was so good. I loved it so much. Yeah, it was pretty good. Whole Cake Island, excellent. Again, I told you guys, I love Sanji so much. We got one whole arc dedicated to Sanji. I ate it up. I ate it up. The villains in Whole Cake Island were excellent. The one who Luffy was fighting with, amazing. Sanji and Pudding's story killed me. Killed me, guys. Oh my god, the Sanji and Pudding. I couldn't. I loved Whole Cake Island so much, man. It was just beautiful. And this setting of Whole Cake Island, beautiful, amazingly done. Loved it so much. And then finally, I want to do a deep dive on like some of these arcs. So I'm being like very brief now because I've been talking for so long. I'm now starting to feel like I'm losing grasp to what I want to say. So I'll do like deep dives on like some of my favorite arcs here, like full length analysis on some of these arcs when I'm rereading it again because I really want to go back now that I have a YouTube channel, so I can go back and fully like analyze, nitpick, fully dissect, and talk about every single arc in full length. Not every single arc, but like my favorite arcs that I could feel that I feel like I can talk in extent about. So finally, we have Wano Country. It was either excellent or it was pretty good. It was pretty good because Wano does have certain problems, but me personally, I really really liked it. I loved the world. I loved how like it felt like ancient Japan. I loved the lore. I loved meeting Kaido. I really really liked Wano. I loved like the like the last half, like the big battle that happened in Wano, because it was just excellent. It was excellent. That's why we meet Luffy in Gear 5. That's why we hear the drums of liberation. That's why we get like more lore. That's why we now start to theorize like crazy. I really, really liked Wano. It was pretty good. Wano was pretty good. It was not excellent because it did have some like problems with it, but it was excellent. Anyway, so there you have it. This is like my final tier ranking. Like I told you guys, it's like nothing is upper. I don't know if like this is glazing, but I really don't think Oda has ever written an arc was like I straight up hate this. Apart from like indifference, I'm like it's okay. It's just like I don't really like it. There's nothing superb. There's really nothing. There's nothing horrible. But anyway, so here you have it. Here's everything tier ranked. I really tried to like speed it up and speak as little as I can about each thing to just give you guys like my general like thoughts on each and every single one of these arcs. But I want to do deep dives on some of my favorite ones, like for example, Whole Cake Island, to talk about the themes in Whole Cake Island, Enies Lobby, Water 7, like all these ones in Marineford, all these ones in Excellent. Because I'm planning on doing a reread for One Piece and actually like dissecting and giving you guys like full analysis on arcs, on certain arcs. So I'm really excited for that, and I'm really excited to also go read watch the anime filler arcs, especially the G8, and watch some of the One Piece movies because I didn't watch any single one. So that's it. I'm really excited to go start that. So be expecting like more One Piece content from me for the next few weeks, next few months. I'm so excited to be doing that. But yeah, touch down the link to the actual like tier list so you guys can play along, so you can give me your own list, tell me, or even down in the comments below, tell me like what arcs you consider a masterpiece, what arcs you consider excellent, what are your favorite One Piece arcs, one more One Piece videos you want to see from me, and I'll see you guys again next week. Thank you so much. Please like and subscribe and share this video. Love you guys.